I am gay.
And I am married to him.
And you may know this already,
Hmm.
assuming that you are listening to this episode, you might follow us online and know that we talk about this dynamic in our relationship a lot. We've been in the media about this dynamic, and we've been the forefront of what we call mixed orientation relationships.
Which exist, and they did not exist openly when we first started dating. And I think it caused a lot of the confusion
Hmm.
in the early years of our relationship because we felt this immense love for one another, but everything in terms of who we were seemed like we shouldn't be together. Like,
Right.
I had never heard of an openly gay man being in a relationship with a woman. Usually, those relationships were done because the woman was some sort of a beard, or it was a situation where the man came out later in life.
Right. We understand it's confusing for a lot of people, and we want to clear that up.
And I'd like to start off by saying that it kind of annoys me that people get confused by it. Particularly people within the queer community, I
Hmm.
think, get the most confused by it when I think that they should be the most accepting because they've kind of paved the way for us to even be able to have these conversations. But the concept of a gay man being with a straight woman, just for some reason, we can accept all other variations of identification and love in the world, but this stops people in their tracks.
Yeah. There seems to be a lot of unrest in the queer community and a lot of friction between the different letters, the L, the G's, the B's, the T's, the I's, the A's. Everybody's kind of like really firm in who they are. And sometimes when you're that firm in who you are and you have to be defensive to people who objectify you, you can become kind of rigid.
Right.
And which is the antithesis of what we're trying to get people to do. Mostly the queer community is trying to get people to do by being accepting of all of us. But you get really rigid as a result of this defensiveness of constantly saying, no, this is who I am. I was born this way.
Excuse
Wow.
me.
And
Wow.
yeah, it makes people so set in their ways, it weirdly, because that's what it seems like we're fighting against.
Yeah, and it's like
Let me
annoying
get
to
this
me.
candle out here. It seems like it's getting too scenty.
Maybe that's what's
I
making me
think that
sneeze, but it
is.
smells really good. By the
Smell.
way, Cozy Earth, we love your
Yeah,
products.
thank you,
We're not
Cozy Earth.
sponsored by you yet, but we'll gladly
We're
be
gonna just
your
start plugging
spokespeople.
random things here to
And
see if
this
we.
here's the Titanic.
And our BKR
Oh, we
water
love the
bottle.
BKR water bottles.
Sponsor us anyway. Oh yeah, this is great. The Titanic and the iceberg shake around, crash into each other.
For those of you who do not know the Samantha lore, I am obsessed with the Titanic, the historical event itself. Love the movie as well. We were going to potentially get married in a Titanic wedding at the Titanic Museum. That's another story for another
Hmm.
day. But everything about the Titanic, it sank the day before my birthday, so it's in my destiny to be into the Titanic. But back to this whole conversation, to me, the thing that's most like, come on, everyone, is that the entire battle cry of all the work that the queer community has done is literally been to get to this place of love is love. They're like,
Right.
love is love, love
Right.
is love, unless you're a gay man with a straight woman.
Right.
And interestingly enough, the older gays get it,
Yeah.
and you would
This little
think they
book.
would be more rigid and
Right.
but like the younger gays who you know
Yeah.
are
Well, I think it's a lot of it is the older gays who have been in relationships get it. I
yeah.
think it's people who haven't been in a long term relationship and have been just kind of living, flying by the seat of their pants that have a harder time.
Very good point.
But like the older gay couples that we know seem to be so understanding because they get what it's like to love somebody. They get the difference between a soulmate as opposed to just the WeHo hookups.
Yeah, and I think at the bottom line, I think even people who are in marriages, I don't think everyone is in a soulmate marriage.
No.
I don't think everyone who's in a relationship is with their soulmate.
Not at
I
all.
think there's a lot of people in the world who are just with the person that checks the boxes that are good enough. And I actually think it's very rare and beautiful and amazing that we found each other in this lifetime, and love is love.
Right.
And our love does transcend.
Because they're not getting brutally honest with themselves.
Exactly.
Back to the title.
I'm with Morton because he's rich.
Right. Or I'm with
But
this
he's
person
a bore.
because of convenience.
Yeah.
Because it's just been 20 years together and why not?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
be too hard to divvy up the finances. It's like that, all of that is so sad. And if that is you, I just encourage you to get brutally honest and think, why am I doing this? And who am I with? And is this a soulmate?
And if you want to find a soulmate and haven't had that experience yet, and you're like out there in the world searching for someone, I think you can get brutally honest with yourself about what qualities you think your soulmate would have. Like real qualities, not just like the dream qualities. Because if you get real with yourself about the real qualities, then the rest will follow because you have the foundation that can lead to the other things.
Right.
When you and I met, we were like, we had nothing. We weren't starving artists. I don't think most starving artists are starving. I think the term of starving artist is kind of a little dated in that sense. I think the starving artist idea is that you love art so much that you are willing to do whatever it takes, even if it means avoiding certain luxuries and conveniences for
Right.
yourself in your life. And that's another thing in our life. Once you and I got brutally honest with ourselves about what we wanted, what we really wanted together and what we wanted to build together, we were like, okay, like I always will love to do theater. I love acting. It's the thing that made you and I meet. But if we're being brutally honest, you cannot make a living, at least in Southern California, a realistic living being a musical theater or theater performer.
Right.
We got to get real there.
Yeah. One of my favorite lines I ever heard was from a comedian who said, there's a fine line between Shakespeare in the Park and homelessness.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like. And people who want to be the starving artist, you're leaving the convenience of your childhood home or your small town to go somewhere like we did to Los Angeles and make it somehow. Pound the pavement with your resume and headshot and try and make something of yourself. And so we both, interestingly, and I think when somebody's looking for a soulmate or wondering what their soulmate might be, to me, that is one of the common grounds that brings us together.
Right.
That passion of musical theater, of acting, of performing, of creating, that we'll always have that.
We'll always have that. We'll always want to go and do a musical. We'll always want to go and see a musical.
Right.
But the stakes of what we're willing to do in order to do it have changed because we've realized that there's a particular life we want to build together. And musicals and theater can still be involved, and it can still be something that we do, but we love where we live. We love Los Angeles.
Right.
And if we were to have the type of theater careers we'd want to have, we'd have to move to New York. It's inevitable. I wish that more actors would get honest about that, brutally honest about that.
Yeah.
I could shake my hands and do a jazz step if I wanted to.
But we shake our hands on social media every day.
Exactly.
We do all sorts of handshaking.
And look, if there were like plays going on and everyone wasn't doing the same 10 productions of Jersey Boys, maybe I would be a little more motivated
Maybe
to do it.
you would. You don't want to be Frankie.
I would
Actually, you'd be a really
an
good.
amazing Frankie
You'd be a really good Joe Pesci.
I would be a Joe Pesci. I don't know that show well enough, but I
I
know
don't either, but I know Joe Pesci, and that's you.
it
That's
is a
your
pretty
type.
amazing show, though. Like, I did see the tour of it, and there was a moment where, like, this trombone solo comes out on
Oh
the
yes.
doo
Dun-dun,
doo doo
dun-dun,
doo doo doo
dun-dun,
doo. It
dun.
was unbelievable.
That's the
That's
showbiz.
it's
Boy, I
shifted
didn't
what
know
it
we were gonna have
means.
a whole showbiz conversation.
I know, but the point, I think the thing that started it was the fact that you and I met for the most organic, real,
Right.
raw of reasons.
Right.
There was nothing that either of us came to the table with other than pure attraction for who one another was.
Right.
There was nothing that was a hidden agenda.
Right.
It was the most pure, amazing meeting of two souls, and it felt like something that was beyond us. I always
Yeah.
say it was written in the stars.
It's amazing though. We get a lot of comment. Almost every video has the comment that they think we married each other for money. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
that's the
that's
most
hysterical
hilarious
to me. It just shows you that that's where people's brains are at a lot of the time.
Yeah, we were literally were just two people who fell in love for all of the right reasons. And some people do marry one another for money,
Right.
and that's their
Right.
prerogative
And maybe that is brutally honest for
with
that
them. They
person.
just
I
want
mean, but
that.
again, it's like we know what money gets you, really nothing.
Right.
It's nothing. And it doesn't get you through hard times emotionally, through losing family members, through anything crazy instances in life that just throw your ass out on the street.
Yeah, you need to have the foundation, and then the money is like the added bonus.
Yeah.
So I think that obviously, if I'm being brutally honest, I would love to be successful, and I want to, continue to have our lives be enriched in every way possible. But I also know that it's rich in the things that money can't buy.
Right.
And to me, that's the most important, most amazing thing about our relationship.
Right.
And I don't think anyone can. The best thing about this is the people who've been following us long enough know exactly who we are. Or if you know us personally or spend time around us, it's evident the amount of care and love that we have for one another. You can just see it. It's like the people who stumble on our videos randomly or like think that you and I are doing this big bit as brother and sister. That's the thing that gets me the most.
Right. Brother and sister is
We don't
really
look alike
weird.
one
I know,
bit.
one bit.
I should be so lucky if I had your
I
jawline.
know. And I don't have bombshell curves. One thing I think we should talk about is how the time when we got really honest with the world about presenting our relationship.
Yeah.
Because for a long time, it was just a thing in our relationship, a dynamic that and there was, years of kind of confusion if it was going to really work for both of us, and fear that it wasn't going to. It wasn't even confusion. It was almost just fear, I think.
Yeah. Why do you think you felt fear?
I think I felt fear that I was just going to be an inadequate person.
In what way?
In the way that I just thought, as a gay person, am I really going to be able to do the things that are required of a heterosexual relationship, namely getting married and having children? And that just, to me, in my mind, as a queer person when I was single, wasn't really a part of my consciousness, and was something that I was always like, I don't think I want that, because I had mixed examples of it growing up.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think that had anything to do with you being queer, or do you think it had anything to do with the life you grew up
Right.
in? Like, I think your idea of marriage, correct me if I'm wrong, like you, first of all, you're a son of divorced parents.
Right.
You were walking into this relationship with a different idea of that. Like you were
Right.
just like marriage, the old song and dance.
Right. And you have this family that, like, there's no divorce.
No divorce.
Everyone in your family is together. Your brothers are all married and have kids, and everything's just hunky dory. And to me, when I first saw it, it almost seemed fake.
Yeah.
Like, it almost seemed like, how is this possible?
Right.
That this can be a family. And as I grew into it, it became like beautiful. It became
Right.
amazing to just see that sort of thing can work and how it works so well.
What do you think is like the thing that made you realize you were open to the idea of getting married and wanting to build a family with me?
I don't know. I think that was a really long, progressive change. I think seeing your family and being integrated with your family was beneficial. I think just our bond, the step to getting married when it happened felt very practical. Like it was just like, okay, we're ready for this now.
Yes.
As opposed to like, oh my God, I got to get married.
I don't think I ever put pressure on you.
No, but it was just like, it just kind of came about and just felt like that's the next logical thing to do.
Right. Was there ever a point where you were like, I don't know that I'm going to be with her forever? Or did you always have like the instinct, like, I know we'll be together forever. I just don't know that I need to be married to be together forever with you?
I always knew we were going to be together forever, but I just had that weird attachment to marriage.
Yeah.
To like, I don't need a piece of paper and a preacher to tell me
You did
that.
used to say that.
Yeah, it's just felt that way. It felt forced and it felt like hibbity jibbity to add to a relationship.
Bibbidi bobbidi boo.
Yeah.
What does it feel now that you've been married for almost
feels
6 months?
Kind of the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't really feel any different because we've been together so long. Maybe there is a little more solidity and firmness.
Do you feel like I mean, more so, is your perception of marriage and your opinion of marriage has it shifted? Does it feel
Very much so. My opinion of marriage is much more positive.
since you've been married? Like, does
Yes.
it feel like, are you glad you did it?
Absolutely. It's the best thing I've ever done.
Can't make me cry on our podcast.
Be
This
good.
is the pilot episode.
Yeah, we're going to put that on social media. Get the views. There's crying in this podcast.
That's crying. And then, so what is your opinion on having a family?
That's a very positive opinion, too. I'm very excited to do that.
What's created the shift there?
I think the same thing, just seeing a positive example of it.
I love that.
I always say my grandparents were a very positive example. Both sets of my grandparents were together through everything, and my mom's parents were very, very pivotal to my upbringing.
Right.
And they were together for like, oh my God, like almost 70 years or
Right.
something. Like, it was crazy. And so that was a very firm relationship.
I'm really sad I didn't get to meet them.
I'm very sad too.
But I feel like they probably worked some of their magic from the stars to bring us together.
Probably.
I also feel like I'm going to burp, but I don't know if it's
Go
going to
ahead
happen.
and burp.
No, it's like stuck. You know when that happens?
Yes.
You're like, I wish I had a Topo Chico to help aid it out. But that's for later.